Marriage vows are easy to make, but not so easy to keep.
Well, aren't you a strapping lad?
If a woman craves more from life than love. A young mom sees her family as an obstacle to freedom.
They had to put him back together for the funeral.
A housewife has a secret addiction. Murder.
This was something that she did, something that she enjoyed, something that she liked.
Just give it time, okay?
And a cheating wife uses her lovers for more than a good time.
They were trying to obliterate his entire existence. They were trying to obliterate his identity.
These deadly women treat loved ones like assets to be liquidated so they can collect the death benefits. All of us have sleepless nights.
Her story was she couldn't sleep that particular night. She suffered from insomnia.
Some married women with children don't want that life anymore. And they tell their husband that and they leave.
But sometimes real life presents real nightmares.
It was a violent attack.
Please help my husband!
In the California suburb of Rowland Heights in 2007. 27-year-old Neil Williams is a stay-at-home dad, prime caregiver to his two sons, 7-year-old Devin and Ian, 3.
Family values were very important to Neil, and he really loved being a dad. He was having so much fun being a dad.
But one person their charm can no longer win over is mom, 27-year-old Manling.
Marilyn seemed to be crazy about the boys when they were little, when they were babies.
Neil's mom, Jan Williams, noticed her daughter-in-law change as the boys grew.
As they became people, I felt like she was becoming more and more distant from them.
As they learned how to talk and they could do things for themselves, she would basically just say, go take care of it yourself.
Domestic life is a bore for Manling. She's not interested in keeping house or tending to her family's needs. She misses being a carefree woman.
Ling liked to be the center of attention, especially among her circle of friends. She liked to be the queen bee.
Mommy, I want to cuddle.
Mommy's busy.
She spent more and more time away from Neil and just hanging out with friends.
Look, I know I have the policy you're looking for.
To gain her freedom,
Why don't we just meet
Manling
up for
finds a
coffee?
job as a waitress and insists her husband works from home, selling insurance.
I got it right here. Listen to this. Oh, okay, I'll contact you tomorrow to thank you.
The insurance was his business, but it wasn't going very well at all.
Neil has more interest in collecting exotic swords than being a salesman. He is not earning much money, and they are relying on Manling's meager wages.
They were strapped for money. There was some financial issues going on.
I'm doing my best.
Oh, well, your best isn't good enough. I'm sick of doing everything for this family.
Some married women with children don't want that life anymore. And they tell their husband that and they leave.
I want a divorce.
Ling, don't say that. You and the boys are everything I've got.
He loved her very much. He loved his family. He came from a single-parent home himself, and he wanted his kids to have both parents in their lives.
Manling agrees to stay, but her heart isn't in it. She keeps thinking about an old flame.
They were actually high school sweethearts for a very short amount of time. They both attended the same high school. And then Manling reached out over the internet, and that's how it started again.
A week later, Manling attends a high school reunion for two.
She went up to Santa Barbara and spent the weekend with him.
Let's stay here all day.
Really? Mm-hmm. You might get sick of me.
No way. That'll never happen.
That relationship did a lot for her, and it offered her in her mind the freedom she wanted.
I thought it was very cold when I found out later because she had asked me to watch the boys that weekend. I mean, who asks their mother-in-law to take care of their kids while they go off and have an affair?
Manling is far from caring. This is where she wants to be. But in the cold light of day, her lover is having doubts.
Let's go away next time.
Ling, there is no next time.
What do you mean?
He started feeling bad about it because she was married with children, and he wanted to break it off.
You're married, you have kids.
But I love you.
Ling.
No, please.
Manling has enjoyed a slice of liberty, a taste of freedom, and now it's gone. There's only one place to go: home.
I think Manling unraveled at the idea of losing her lover. I think in her grief over the loss of that relationship was more than she could bear. That was probably the catalyst for what was to come.
August 7th, 2007. A hot summer night in Rowland Heights, California.
Who ordered ham and pineapple?
The Williams family gathers for dinner. But 27-year-old Manling no longer feels any domestic bliss.
She seemed to be pulling away from them. I thought that was strange. I thought maybe she was planning to leave them.
A brief fling gives her a taste of freedom. But her lover has rejected her.
I think she was tired of her life, and she thought of all the things that she could have different. She didn't want her life with Neil anymore.
Distracted and distant from her husband and children, Manling looks for comfort elsewhere.
Manling's family and friends reported that she was reaching out. She would call her sister at 3 in the morning and say that she just wanted to hear her voice.
Horrific nightmares are disturbing Manling.
She had a reoccurring dream that she would come home and Neil would have strangled the kids or killed the kids and then killed himself.
Perhaps she was laying the groundwork for what was to come.
Manling can't face the shame of divorce. But there are other ways to end a marriage. She waits for Neil and her 2 boys to go to bed. Manling targets her most vulnerable son first. 3-year-old Ian.
She put the pillow over little Ian's face first and killed him. And then she climbed into the top bunk and killed Evan.
Suffocating each one of her children separately for the amount of time that it took to kill them with her own hands is beyond any words. This is a mother who carried these children for 9 months and who lived with them for 7 years. There were other swords in that room as Neil collected them, but she chose the largest sword and the most dangerous.
I think Manling probably blamed her husband for her plight as she saw it. Being a mother saddled with 2 kids, a husband, it wasn't what she wanted. I think she snapped.
She just went at him like she was chopping him up for meat.
Neil tries to flee, but can't escape his wife's fury or the blade she wields.
Manling stabbed her husband 97 times.
They found him face down in the hallway with his face toward the little boy's room. So it could have been he was trying to get to his boys and protect his boys.
Manling then celebrates her freedom. She heads out for drinks with coworkers.
I think she was probably able to massacre her family 1 minute and look perfectly normal the next because she was able to detach her feelings, if she ever had them.
When she returns after a very late night, she prepares for the performance of her life. She leaves the house at dawn for a quiet smoke.
Her story was she couldn't sleep that particular night. She suffered from insomnia.
Then she returns home to discover her family dead.
Help! Help! Please help my husband!
Homicide investigator Sergeant Don Walls was one of the first police at the scene.
She's looking distraught, she's acting distraught, and the first thing she asked me and my partner,
How are my boys? How's my husband?
well, we had to inform her that they had all passed on. And then she starts acting distraught to the point she drags over a trash can.
But seasoned cops aren't fooled so easily.
I'm watching her, and although she's making the noises, there's nothing expelling from her.
Forensics confirms investigators' suspicions. Neil's blood is found on Manling's cigarette box.
How no blood gets in there when all the blood's in there. Basically, because of that evidence and some other little things that we had found, we placed her under arrest. It was almost a shocking revelation that she said. She looked at me and my partner and said, I am torn between getting an attorney and just telling you what happened. And she went ahead and waived her rights and told us the story about how she killed.
Manling Williams is found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. On January 19th, 2012, she receives her sentence, death.
I don't think society would ever be safe with Manling among us. She killed her entire family. If she snapped once, what's to say it couldn't happen again?
The cost of a woman wanting freedom. 3 innocent lives stolen.
I miss Neil, I miss the boys, I miss them every day. All those milestones, all those hopes and dreams, she stole them not just from them, but she stole those things from us too. To see the boys grow, play soccer or play baseball, go to the first dance, learn to drive. All of those things will never happen now.
Manling is currently on death row in the Central California Women's Facility. Some families seem cursed.
She truly loved her last husband. She loved him to death.
They suffer losses too great to overcome.
A death that was horrible and anguished and filled with pain.
And too horrific to understand.
This was something that she did, something that she enjoyed, something that she liked.
This'll make you feel better.
In 1950, downtown Montgomery, Alabama. 51-year-old Claude Martin is a newly married man.
There she is, new stepmama.
Awash with happiness, Claude brings his 30-year-old son, Bud, to meet his new wife. Rhonda Bell Martin, a 44-year-old waitress in the local diner.
You look happy, Dad.
I am. She's one hell of a good cook.
She is not a typical beauty.
Hi there, I'm Rhonda.
But to husband Claude, Rhonda is the belle of the ball.
She was a waitress, a housewife, just an ordinary woman.
Well, aren't you a strapping lad?
She had a charismatic personality that drew people to her.
Rhonda has an adoring new husband and a handsome new stepson.
Can I get you something? You know what? How about I get you something special, okay?
The small family is content and complete.
Isn't she great, Plantz?
Yeah, she's real nice, Dad.
Then tragedy strikes. Just 1 year after marrying, Claude gets a mystery virus.
We gotta get him to the hospital.
I'll take care of him better than any nurse will.
Rhonda is an attentive wife. She never leaves his side.
Get some liquid now, okay?
Rhonda prided herself on the excellent nursing care that she gave family members.
Just take them. You're doing so good.
But Claude doesn't improve. Rhonda's love can't save him.
You're doing so good.
Doctors are at a loss.
Claude? Claude?
To lose a husband is devastating, and most widows would be grief-stricken. But Rhonda quickly finds solace in the arms of forbidden love.
After he died, she had her eye on her own stepson. And she started hanging around with him and being sexually involved with him, which is kind of strange for any stepmother to do.
The mother and stepson's love affair is scandalous.
Oh, she is just shameless. Her own stepson.
But Bud doesn't care. He's fallen for the same charm that snared his father.
Amazing.
You know, she might have been a little bit more promiscuous than the average woman in that period, so she had no trouble drawing men into her circle.
Rhonda was very skilled at luring men into her web.
Close your eyes.
Despite the close family ties and age difference, within months, Bud proposes.
Okay, you can open them.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
What do you say? Will you marry me?
Yes! Yes! Oh my God! Put it on!
In the early 50s, it was a bit outrageous for any woman to marry a man 20 years younger. And that was the age difference between Rhonda and her new stepson.
I'm getting married! Ah!
You gotta be kidding me. Claude must be turning in his grave.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Bud and Rhonda enjoy 4 years of marriage. But in 1955, tragedy strikes again. Bud is sick.
Bud suffers for nearly a year. Eventually, he becomes paralyzed, and nobody can figure out what kind of affliction is affecting Bud.
Medical intervention pulls Bud from the brink, but doctors want to know what put him there. They find the answer by analyzing his hair.
At the hospital, they discovered that Bud has been poisoned, and he had arsenic in his system.
Suspicion begins to swirl around Rhonda.
Obviously, they now begin to look at the wife who was already, it was controversial, this marriage, and they begin investigating Rhonda's past.
Police discover that death follows Rhonda like a gloomy shadow.
2 husbands, 3 of her 5 children, and her mother.
(1956), Montgomery, Alabama. 49-year-old waitress Rhonda Bell Martin is a controversial woman.
Claude?
When her husband dies,
Beautiful.
she marries her stepson, Bud. But when he almost dies, Rhonda is suspected of poisoning them both. When police investigate her past, they find something even more shocking. Almost 2 decades earlier, in 1937, Rhonda is married to her first husband, George Garrett. They once had 3 daughters, but now there are only 2.
Why did she have to die?
Rhonda's first victim was her own 3-year-old daughter, Imogene.
Rhonda starts with the smallest, But 2 years later, she picks on someone her own size. Husband, George.
In order to kill George Garrett, Rhonda put arsenic in his whiskey, and it took several doses. Even after seeing the torturous way her little girl died, she chose to use that method one more time and kill her husband.
Rhonda used a method of murder very common among women serial killers: poison. It allows the killer to poison their victim and then move away and let the poison do the dirty work.
The killings seem even more senseless because Rhonda isn't getting any real financial reward.
She made very little money. I think in one case, the most she got was insurance policy that actually covered only the funeral. So certainly profit motive may not be the issue, but then again, with serial killers, they don't think like us. Serial killers can kill you for a cigarette.
When a killer feels they have power over another person's life to let them live or kill them, that can be very heady stuff. And when they do it, they like it.
For Rhonda, the benefit of death is death itself.
The fact that they like it reinforces that they will do it again, and it becomes a compulsive behavior.
Once Rhonda starts, she can't stop. Her next victim is her 6-year-old daughter, Anne.
This will make you feel better.
Thank you.
This time, she killed another one of her own children by putting ant poison in her milk.
Three years later, Rhonda's eldest daughter, 11-year-old Ellen, is fed her fate.
Thanks, Mom.
Good girl.
Rhonda's not finished with her poisonous potions. She now turns on her own mom, Mary.
Once again, she used her favorite, arsenic, and delivered a death to her mother that was horrible and anguished and filled with pain. It didn't bother Rhonda one little bit.
In 7 years, Rhonda stole 5 lives, and no one suspected her for 2 decades. Until they go back to their graves.
It was easy to investigate this case because all the bodies were buried very neatly in the same cemetery plot. There was this carnival atmosphere as they exhumed the bodies.
And everyone they exhumed, arsenic, 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 everywhere they looked.
Caught cold, Rhonda is arrested and confesses to killing 2 husbands, her mother, and 3 children, but can't explain why she took her loved ones' lives.
I can understand someone saying they don't know why they did a killing, but Rhonda kept doing it. I think she simply didn't want to admit that she liked it.
But there is one truth Rhonda can accept. No one is safe unless she's behind bars.
You think you're gonna get out of this place?
I don't want to get out of this place ever.
Rhonda was so aware of her compulsion to kill, she actually advised prison authorities that if she were released, she probably would do it again.
But she isn't in prison for long. A jury finds Rhonda Bell Martin guilty of murder. Her obsession with death leads to her own execution. on October 11th, 1957. She leaves the living a present, her brain.
I think Rhonda wanted her body donated to science so that her brain could be studied, kind of as a grand gesture on her way out. It was also another way of not taking any responsibility for the murders. Kind of like, the devil made me do it. Maybe you'll find him in here.
Some women go looking for danger.
She would routinely pick up men for sexual pleasure.
Some will pay for it.
How does 45,000 sound?
They were not serious professional hitmen, and they certainly weren't brilliant guys.
And some invited home.
She wanted James dead, and she didn't care how it happened.
In Midwest City, Oklahoma, 1988. Jim Plantz, 33, enjoys a rare treat, the day off. It's not often he sees sunlight. Jim works night shifts at the local newspaper.
He was a skilled blue-collar craftsman, I guess you would say. And they lived in a suburban house, so he was apparently a good provider for his family.
He's been married to his childhood sweetheart, Marilyn, for 12 years.
James and Marilyn met when apparently Marilyn was 15 and he was 21.
Jim was Marilyn's first love. She quit high school to marry him. But with Jim away at night, Marilyn grows lonely and restless.
Hi, it's me. Jim's on the night shift.
Loneliness is easily remedied if you trawl the streets for sex. That's how Marilyn meets her latest lover, William Bryson, an 18-year-old car thief. She invites him home and makes sure they are not disturbed.
We have evidence that she would drug her kids with cop syrup and put them into the bedroom and lock the door.
She doesn't want them to hear what's going on in Mommy and Daddy's room.
Why did he just leave?
Marilyn wants to end her marriage, but not with a divorce.
Mr. Plantz, wanting to take care of his family, raised his insurance from approximately $100,000 to well over $300,000.
She knows that Jim's worth more to her dead. Marilyn hatches a plan with her lover and his 18-year-old friend, Clinton McKimball.
I'll definitely make it worth your while.
Bryson and McKimball were best friends. Neither one of them finished high school, but they were involved in just petty crimes.
Marilyn makes up horror stories about how her husband treats her badly.
Marilyn was able to convince both Bryson and McKimball that her husband was beating her and abusing her. But they were only 18-year-olds. It was easy for her.
She also offers the teens a large sum of money.
How does 45,000 sound?
But they were no match for Marilyn Plantz. She was able to wrap them around her little finger.
August 25th, 1988. The Plantz's 2 children are sleeping. Marilyn invites her young lovers home and feeds them drugs and alcohol. She is priming them for action before her husband gets home from the night shift.
Christmas comes early.
Marilyn was supplying both these young men with drugs and sex, so it's natural that they would want to protect her and keep that good stuff coming.
Woo! Get some of that.
I'm off to bed. I'll leave you to it.
Marilyn doesn't want to dirty her own hands.
Marilyn wanted James dead, and she didn't care how it happened. She had ice in her veins.
In Midwest City, Oklahoma, 28-year-old Marilyn Plantz is leading a double life. Preferring the company of young lovers and greedy for cash, she wants a quick end to her marriage. On August 26, 1988, her husband, Jim, arrives home from the night shift. William Bryson and Clinton McKimball, two petty criminals, lie in wait.
Who are you? What are you doing in my...
Then they started beating him with the baseball bats. Each of them hit him in excess of 10 times. Jim Plantz was thinking the whole time that he was being beaten that these people were going to attack his wife and family.
But Marilyn is safe and sound and listening.
Marilyn would have heard everything that went on. The baseball bats hitting the door where she was behind.
Stop!
With the dirty work done, Marilyn moves on to phase 2.
Marilyn knew that if her husband died in an accident, that the life insurance would pay double.
What do we do?
You burn him.
The teenagers drive Jim's body in his car to a remote area, while Marilyn plays the concerned wife.
First thing they did, they thought they could blow up the car by putting a rag and lighting it within the gas tank. Well, that didn't explode.
And it ain't working.
Yes, hello? I'd like to report my husband missing.
Then they poured gasoline on him and all over the car.
They were trying to obliterate his entire existence. They were trying to obliterate his identity.
They think they are disposing of a body, but they're not. Jim is still alive.
Help me! Please help me! Help me!
But they are beyond the point of no return.
Evidence indicate that he was alive at the time that he was being burned. He was burned, charred, but with his left foot out the door, and the door was ajar as he was trying to get out.
Murdering a spouse for their insurance money is not as easy as many people think it is. Insurance companies don't automatically write a big check for a grieving spouse. They investigate the death themselves, and they are more suspicious than the police.
But it won't be the insurance company who gets the first clue. Detective Ralph Gibson is called to investigate the fiery death and starts at the victim's home. Marilyn's sloppy cleanup makes his job easier than normal.
We found the baseball bats that had blood and a tissue matter on 2 of the baseball bats. I looked in the living room and there was a brand new rug. I pulled it up and I seen that the carpet had been bleached. So when I cut out the square and flipped it over, sure enough, the back of the rug was soaked in blood.
Marilyn claims she knows nothing, but her young killers soon tell the police everything. All 3 are charged with murder and arson.
No one ever claimed that she participated in the actual physical killing of Jim Plantz, but the state was able to make the case that she had hired Bryson and McKimble to kill Jim and had helped to plan it, and that she participated in it as an accomplice by cleaning up.
They are all found guilty. Clinton McKimble receives life. William Bryson receives the death penalty. So does Marilyn Plantz. On May 1st, 2001, she is executed by lethal injection.
There's very few pure random killings. They're tied to money, they're tied to relationships, and they're tied to love. This one had all 3.
In the end, Marilyn didn't get the life insurance money. She got a needle in her arm.
I believe Marilyn deserved a death penalty. Actually, I think she earned it.
These women's desires were more important than the lives of loved ones. Manling Williams wanted freedom more than her family. Rhonda Bell Martin killed for decades to satisfy her addiction. And Marilyn Plantz cashed in her husband's life for his life insurance. These deadly women only cared about themselves. They had no qualms eliminating family so they could collect death benefits.